Hello, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, where we explore practical strategies to help you live a better, more balanced life. I'm your host, Emily, and with me today is my co-host, John. Hi, John.
Hey, Emily. Hey, everyone. We've got an exciting topic today, daily routines. They might sound simple, but they're incredibly powerful when it comes to improving your productivity, mental health, and overall life balance. Today, we'll explore what daily routines are, how they help, and why they're a cornerstone of many successful people's lives.
That's right. We'll be diving into the science behind routines, sharing some tips on how to build them effectively. And as always, we've got a story segment from one of our listeners that we'll discuss later on. So, if you've ever wondered how to make your days more structured and productive, this episode is for you. Let's start by defining what we mean by daily routine. John, how would you describe it?
A daily routine is essentially a set of tasks or activities that you do every day, usually in the same order and at the same times. It's the structure that guides your day, helping you stay focused, organized, and in control. Think of it as the framework of your day, whether it's something as simple as brushing your teeth or as intentional as your morning exercise routine.
Exactly. Routines can be as small as how you start your morning or as broad as how you structure your workday. They're a series of habits that, when done consistently, create rhythm and predictability in your life. According to research published in the European Journal of Social Psychology, it takes about 66 days on average to form a habit, which means the consistency of routines plays a huge role in turning actions into automatic behaviors.
That's an important point. Daily routines aren't just about productivity, they can also reduce decision fatigue, which is something we'll discuss a bit later. By setting your daily activities into a routine, you take the guesswork out of how to structure your day.
And routines aren't just for adults. A study from the Journal of Family Psychology found that children who follow daily routines tend to have better emotional regulation and perform better academically. So, routines are beneficial across all ages and stages of life.
All right, now that we know what daily routines are, let's talk about why they're so important. Emily, do you want to kick this off?
Sure. One of the biggest benefits of having a routine is that it increases productivity. When you have a routine, you don't waste time deciding what to do next because your day is already structured. This frees up mental energy for more creative tasks or problem solving. In fact, a study published in Harvard Business Review found that individuals who adhere to a routine are not only more productive, but also report lower levels of stress.
Exactly. Routines also help with time management. When you know what your day looks like in advance, you can prioritize the most important tasks and make sure you're dedicating enough time to each one. For example, if you allocate the first 2 hours of your workday to high-focus tasks, you're more likely to complete them efficiently because your brain is fresh and focused.
Another major benefit is the effect routines have on mental health. When life feels chaotic, routines offer a sense of stability and control, which can help reduce anxiety. According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, people with anxiety disorders often benefit from routines because they help ground them, offering predictability in an otherwise unpredictable world.
That's a great point, Emily. There's also the psychological concept of decision fatigue, which happens when we're forced to make too many decisions throughout the day. Routines reduce the number of small decisions we need to make, like, what should I have for breakfast? Or, when should I exercise? This frees up mental energy for more important decisions. In fact, Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg were known for simplifying their wardrobes, wearing the same outfit every day to avoid decision fatigue.
Let's take a moment to look at the science behind daily routines. One key area of research comes from studies on the brain's reward system. When we follow a routine and complete tasks, our brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with feelings of pleasure and reward. This reinforces the behavior, making it easier to stick to the routine.
That's right. And it's not just about feeling good. Routines also activate the brain's prefrontal cortex, which is involved in planning, decision-making, and managing emotional responses. When we engage in routines, we're essentially creating a pathway in our brain that strengthens with repetition, making those actions automatic over time.
Yes, and that's why it becomes easier to stick to routines the longer you follow them. Once a routine is in place, You don't need to put as much conscious thought into completing tasks. They just become part of your day. That's why morning routines are often emphasized as crucial for setting a productive tone for the rest of the day.
Definitely. Research published in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology also found that workers who follow morning routines experience fewer distractions throughout the day and report higher levels of job satisfaction. It shows that the way you start your day really does impact how the rest of it unfolds.
And now let's move on to a story segment. One of our listeners, Sarah, reached out to share how daily routines completely transformed her life. Here's her story.
I've always been a bit of a free spirit. I liked the idea of flexibility and spontaneity, so I resisted having any kind of routine for most of my life. But as I got older, I found myself feeling overwhelmed by how chaotic my days were. I was constantly trying to catch up, and I was always stressed. It felt like I was never really in control of my time. Then, I started reading about the benefits of daily routines and decided to give it a try. I started small, just a morning routine where I'd wake up, make my bed, have a cup of tea, and spend 10 minutes reading or journaling before starting my day. Within a few weeks, I felt so much more grounded, my anxiety decreased, and I felt like I was actually starting my day with intention rather than reacting to whatever came my way. That small routine gave me the confidence to add more structure to my day. Now, I plan my work hours, exercise in the afternoon, and I have an evening routine to wind down. It's amazing how much more in control of my life I feel.
Wow, that's a great story. Thanks to Sarah for sharing that. I think a lot of people can relate to feeling overwhelmed without a routine. Her experience highlights how even small routines like making your bed and having a quiet morning can make a huge difference.
Yes, it's a perfect example of how starting small can lead to big changes. I love how Sarah's morning routine set the tone for the rest of her day. Once she experienced the benefits of that, she was able to build on it and create a more structured day overall.
It also goes to show that routines don't have to be rigid or boring. They're there to give you structure and control, but they can still leave room for flexibility and spontaneity. The important thing is that they help you feel more centered and less overwhelmed.
Let's get into some practical tips on how to create your own daily routine. Whether you're new to routines or just looking to improve the ones you already have, these tips will help you build something that works for you.
The first tip is to start small. As Sarah mentioned in her story, she began with just a morning routine. You don't need to overhaul your entire day in one go. Start with one or two activities that you can do consistently. For example, you might start by setting a regular wake-up time or dedicating 10 minutes to stretching each morning.
That's key. Small changes are easier to maintain and they can snowball into bigger ones. Another tip is to be realistic about what you can accomplish in a day. It's easy to get overly ambitious when planning your routine, but it's important to create a schedule that's sustainable. Overloading your routine with too many tasks can lead to burnout.
Exactly. The next tip is to make your routine flexible. Life happens, and your routine might not always go as planned. Allow for some flexibility so if something unexpected comes up, it doesn't throw off your entire day. For example, if you miss your morning exercise session, don't stress. You can reschedule it for later in the day or simply pick it up the next day. The key is not to let small disruptions derail your routine.
That's such an important point, John. I've seen a lot of people abandon their routines altogether when something throws them off. But it's essential to recognize that routines are meant to serve you, not the other way around. Another great tip is to pair habits together. This is called habit stacking, and it's a powerful way to build routines. For example, if you already have a habit of making coffee every morning, you can pair it with something new you're trying to incorporate, like journaling for 5 minutes while you wait for the coffee to brew.
Yes, habit stacking works because it takes advantage of an already established behavior, and as we've mentioned before, the brain loves repetition. Pairing new habits with existing ones helps solidify them faster. Another tip is to schedule time for self-care. A lot of people build routines around work and productivity, but it's just as important to incorporate activities that recharge you, whether it's reading, meditating, or spending time outdoors.
Absolutely. Self-care is often overlooked in routines, but it plays a crucial role in preventing burnout. A well-rounded routine should include time for relaxation and personal enjoyment, not just work-related tasks. And finally, evaluate and adjust your routine regularly. What works for you now might not work in a few months, so it's important to revisit your routine and make changes as needed.
That's right. Life is dynamic, and your routine should evolve with it. Maybe your work schedule changes, or you find a new hobby you want to incorporate into your day. The beauty of routines is that they're adaptable. You can adjust them to fit your current goals and lifestyle.
Let's take a moment to highlight some of the specific ways daily routines can improve your life. We've touched on these throughout the episode, but it's worth taking a closer look at the benefits.
One of the most immediate benefits, as we've discussed, is increased productivity. When you have a structured routine, you can accomplish more in less time because you're not constantly trying to figure out what to do next. You've already made those decisions in advance.
And as we mentioned earlier, routines can also significantly reduce stress. When you know what to expect from your day, there's less room for anxiety or overwhelm. You can approach your tasks with a calm, focused mindset, knowing that you've already mapped out your priorities.
Another key benefit is that routines foster better habits. When you build healthy practices into your daily routine, whether it's exercise, healthy eating, or regular sleep, you're more likely to stick with them because they become ingrained in your lifestyle.
Yes, routines help automate those positive habits, making them feel like second nature. Another important aspect is that routines promote work-life balance. By creating designated times for work, leisure, and self-care, you're more likely to prevent burnout and ensure that you're giving attention to all areas of your life.
And finally, routines help with mental clarity and focus. When your day is organized, you can approach each task with a clear mind, knowing that you have time set aside for everything. This reduces the constant mental juggling that can lead to feeling scattered or overwhelmed.
All right, let's do a quick recap of what we've covered today. First, we talked about what daily routines are. They're the structures that help you navigate your day with consistency and purpose.
We also discussed why routines are important, including how they improve productivity, reduce stress, and help you manage your time better. And we explored the science behind routines, including how they activate the brain's reward system and help form long-term habits.
Then we shared Sarah's story about how a simple morning routine completely transformed her sense of control and reduced her anxiety. It's a great example of how even small changes can lead to big improvements in your life.
Finally, we offered some practical tips on building your own routine, like starting small, being flexible, pairing habits together, and making time for self-care. We also discussed the many ways daily routines can improve your life, from better work-life balance to increased focus and clarity.
Routines are such a powerful tool for living a more intentional, balanced life. They don't have to be rigid or complicated. They just need to support the goals and well-being you want to prioritize. If you don't already have a routine in place, we encourage you to start small and see how it can make a difference.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to English Story Podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. We'd also love to hear about your routines, what works for you, and how they've impacted your life. Feel free to reach out or leave a comment.
Thanks again for joining us today. Remember, building a routine is about creating a life that feels balanced and fulfilling. We'll see you next time.